What is up? This is RC Apologist coming in with this video. Um, just wanted to make a little quick thing here. It's not going to take too long of a video. Just wanted to get my thoughts out here on that, and if anyone wants to comment on it, we can discuss it. But I just wanted to leave a little bit of a word regarding the one thing that I've been dealing with. By the way, if you hear a beep in the background, that's Pop-Out's getting ready. This video's to help pass the time for that to cool down. But anyways, that being said, regarding the matter of presuppers out there. Now, as some of y'all have known, I have recently taken up to the point where I have adopted the method of presuppositional apologetics, the Van Tillian approach, within the style of John Frame. So I would be a Framian in regards of that compared to a Bonson type or a Clarkian. I found it was another different one, which was Van Til's colleague slash sort of like a competitive kind of thing. They went at it with each other at times, even though they were somewhat respectful with each other at the same time during their years at Westminster. So there's all these different styles of precept out there, and I put myself more within the John Framian camp of precept apologetics. That being said, there is a thing I've been noticing when it comes to the internet style of precept, and this is one of the things that kind of turned me away from it at the time, was that if you were to go and see some of these people, they are ultimately what would be described as sort of like a Psi 10 type of clone. This is usually the term that's been put out there. And when that term was used and I started to hear that and I started to look more into it, I then realized there are types of presuppers out there that only engage in the phrases of Bonson but do not expound upon it or add their own little deal. Like they take the idea of the point of apologetics is to shut up the individual or something like that, and they take that from Bonson and misinterpret that to mean therefore be rude and condescending, even though in Always Ready by Bonson he has stated that you can't be rude. You have to be kind, polite, understand that that person is logical and is utilizing reason. They are made in the image of God, so therefore they are able to have that ability to do so. But a lot of people want to be condescending. Some of these examples being Darth Dawkins, who has gone by many names over the years, but I remember when I've encountered him, he was definitely no polite individual. In fact, he made fun of me and acted very childish by complaining and acting like a child when I was trying to make a point of a complaint that I've had and trying to reconcile things or at least mention an issue. He would try to think I'm like some kid or something like that, and he'd go, wah, wah, and I'm like, dude, you're older than me, grow up. So with that being said, you know, like, it's not just Darth Dawkins too, though. There are other people out there who just simply take the how do you know that every single time approach, or they just engage in arguments that are nullified of any grace, devoid of any grace, and aren't biblical in their approach. So when it comes to some of these presuppositionalists, I really feel sorry for them, because they're the inspiration that some people are getting too, instead of people going to frame. Like, for example, especially when you see the criticisms that have been raised against precept when Cameron Bertuzzi invited Michael Ramson, whatever his name is, Rasmussen, whatever, I would call the semi-heretic to a degree regarding Rasmussen. But regarding that, yeah, like when that happened, people started talking more about precept, and they started to be getting ideas that are ultimately not accurate with the source material. Because even when Cameron himself was asked, have you read any of Van Til or Frame or Bonson or any of the primary source material that talks about this stuff? He said, no, I have never read any Bonson. I've never read any Van Til. I haven't read anything that's a precept material. And thus is the problem, because I used to be the same way. I said, hey, precept is bad. Have you ever read Van Til? No, I have not read Van Til. Bonson is illogical. Have you read Bonson? No, I have not read Bonson. But it was until then I read, the first book I believe I got was well, from a precept in general, was Frame's systematic theology. And then I found Bonson's book, Always Ready. And then eventually I started, after reading that and finding the stuff biblical in that regard, I started to look into the other material. So I got Van Til's Christian Apologetics, because it was at the time the one thing I could definitely afford, because it was a cheaper book compared to some of the other stuff that he's published. But yeah, after reading this, it started getting more into me, like, okay, I can understand it, and it's not that bad or anything like that. So I then started getting more of the Van Til, and then I definitely started trying to go for more Frame, because I've realized in seeing Frame on his website, on his blogs and his articles, and then eventually in his books, he has an interesting way of bringing about the precept method of apologetics to the point that precept becomes easy to understand. At the same time, he's like, okay, there's points where you can be critical of Van Til, and that's fine. There's points where we can agree with Van Til, and that's fine. But then there's also, again, trying to understand a revision of a precept method that needs to be done, such as him talking about that Van Til was definitely about like using the transcendental argument by itself at times, but as Frame tries to point out, don't just simply use the transcendental argument, but utilize it in the framework of the other argument. So in other words, if you're arguing for the cosmological argument, utilize it in the style of a transcendental form, with transcendental thinking. Moral argument, utilize that with transcendental thinking. So it's things like that that make me realize that there is a rich depth of knowledge and information regarding precept, that it's not just boiled down to watching a bunch of past Greg Bonson debates and just trying to mirror some of the language there, but it's involving much more than that. And I believe that a lot of people, especially other preceptors like myself, need to look more into that instead of just simply being stuck with being like a Bonson or being like a Sai. At least I'd rather people, no disrespect to Sai and anything like that. He's a good brother in Christ. I like the work he does in open air evangelism. But in terms of the style of precept, definitely a little more Bonson compared to the Sai on that regard. But even then, I still suggest, me and Vocab Malone both have suggested before, that people need to be more into like John Frame, because this guy gives a lot of good arguments regarding Christianity, utilizing what I believe is a more logical and proper form of precept in today's day and age, given the context of the culture and everything. With that being said, this has been RC Apologist. Y'all take care.